Welcome back to Shooting the Bull. I'm Ken Hendricks. I want to talk to you about EPDs again. Now, we've talked about EPDs a few times as far as, birth weight, weaning weight, yearling weight, dollar indexes that different breeds have created, whether it be Angus with the, dollar M, dollar B, dollar F, dollar G, dollar C. It sounds like I'm about to sell something. Yeah, I sound like an auctioneer. Those things are all great, but they're tools. Imagine you're a plumber, right? And you go to a job site and you're ready to get started plumbing. And you open up your toolbox and somebody else has made your toolkit for you and told you this is a plumber's toolkit. And inside, in the very top drawer, there's a big hammer. Then next to it, there's a set of clines for cutting wire. Then beside that, there's a tape measure. Beside that, there's a pipe wrench. Beside that, there's some pipe glue, right? And then beside that, there is a box of roofing nails. And you lift the lid up, and down in there, you find a whole roll of electrical wire. And next to that, you find a box for lighting. And then next to that, you find framing nails. Obviously, whoever packed this box for you hasn't done a lot of plumbing, because a lot of those tools, while it's great to have tools, they don't do anything to get the pipes that you're working with into the house you're designed to build. That's exactly what EPDs have done. Somebody else has handed you a toolbox filled with a bunch of tools for building cows. And they didn't set any parameters on what those cows are being used for. In fact, even those pretty little indexes that they like to put on there of combined and the maternal, even those numbers, they are for a very specific toolbox for people that they imagined. So this is why it's super important to know who you are. Because if you know the kind of cows you're building, and if you can tell me and market to me and be able to say, well, this right here is the kind of cows I'm making. I'm making pets for local small families that are into it. I'm making super docile animals. I'm making animals that can survive a lot of heat in the South, and I want them to grow on nothing, right? I'm making super maternal mamas who have big udders and solid feet and are just deep as can be, but I'm not worried about what they yield when somebody cuts them and what the marbling score is. If I know who I am and what my small farm's mission is, and when I say mission, I'm talking about where we're trying to get this farm to create in the very specific landscape that's in front of us. If I know that, then I know how to pack my toolbox. But if you're like me, I've done this. Look, I am in no way judging you, because I've been the guy that took the entire toolbox and thought I had to find the best animal out there with every tool possible. And paid a lot of money that I didn't need to pay for an animal that did things that I was never going to use. I mean, I'm not retaining any animals till the end, so why am I so worried about marbling score and paying extra money for animals that marble well? I'm not saying you shouldn't. If those opportunities are there, great. But why is that one of my high priorities in the animals that I'm picking out? If I'm not keeping animals to be a year old, why am I so worried about an animal with a lower yearling weight? If it's got the weaning weight that I want, why am I worried about the top end of that calf? I'm not going to have him. And maybe I'm very concerned with it because the person I'm selling to is concerned with it, at which point I'm adding value to them. So maybe it means a lot. Again, I'm not saying any of these tools are bad or any of these animals are bad. I'm saying you can waste a lot of money trying to be somebody that you're not. You can waste a lot of time trying to do something that you're not supposed to be doing. And you can frustrate the heck out of yourself trying to go 15 different directions trying to be somebody else and what they tell you to do. I've used this illustration before, that when David went to face Goliath, he could not wear Saul's armor and try to use the tools that Saul used for fighting in battle. Some of you are trying to use the tools that big operations use to make decisions about cattle to figure out how your little small lightweight farm should be operating, when all you need is a sling and 5 stones instead of a giant sword and a big armor. You need to be lightweight and able to move. I mean, heck, if you need it, you can use the giant sword to cut his head off. You don't need tons of armor. I mean, Think about it this way. If David had been in all of Saul's armor and Goliath had hit him, do you think it would have stopped anything about the blow from Goliath and killing David? Think of it this way. If a giant farm out there and you're using all their tools and a big blow hits them, they're able to survive it because they're huge. But if you're a little small farm and a big blow hits you, it doesn't matter how much protection you have. If that bull lays down and dies tomorrow that you paid $7,500 for, $10,000 for, $15,000 for, if he lays down and dies tomorrow, you might not survive that hit. It might take you out. Those guys might say, ouch, and keep going. So we need to be able to create our own toolbox. We need to be able to know our animals and measure things that we're doing. You can measure cavities. Is cavities a big deal for you? I mean, people have made cavities a giant deal because people with small farms, 40, 50 head, they don't want to have to go out there and check their cows every day. They've done it as hobby farming. But you realize like birth weight and cavities for the most part, it really just affects heifers. I mean, you can get some insane bulls that kill cows, but that's pretty rare now. They pretty much got most of those out of most breeds. So if that's the case, why are you really worried about it? Why are you worried about super lightweight cavities if you're not raising a bunch of heifers? I mean, if you're going out and you're buying heifers that are already bred, then make sure those heifers are bred to some easier calving bulls. But why are you worried about a bull that has super light cavities if you're putting him on cows that are 4 to 10 years old for the most part? Why are you paying for super light calving ease? If you're creating commercial cattle, why are you worried about having a bull that's super close to some pedigree that's awesome? They're not adding any value to your product. You just need an animal that produces. You need an animal that does the things you want to do. Sometimes I'm talking to myself when I make these videos because it's easy for me to fall into the exact same traps everybody else does, chasing numbers, chasing tools, rather than building my farm with the right tools and the right measurements that we need. Measurement is one of the biggest things as farmers that we fail to do. It's so easy in a lot of ways to do it, and we just don't. Most farmers don't take weights on their calves. They just take whatever the weight is at the sale barn when they drop them off. Well, you're just treating your animal as a commodity. You don't know which cow's producing at which rate, if that's you. You don't know what the birth weights were. You don't know which cows produced. You don't even know which cows weigh, which can make a huge difference. Like if you've got 1,200-pound cows versus 800-pound cows, we're talking about two very different animals that need very different things, from whether it be the actual nutrients you put into them to the type calves and bulls that you can use with them, and the calves you can get out of them, and what to expect. All those things make a big difference. And you need to be able to create your own toolbox, your own dollar. Make it, for me, it'd be like Dollar Ken. What makes the most money for me? What makes sense with animals that I need? And you're like, I don't know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Figure it out. Like, do you need a cow that's got really good feed, or you want to keep her in your herd for 12, 15 years? If not, if it's one of those deals where, no, I'm perfectly fine with getting 3 or 4 calves out of her, selling her, and moving on, then don't waste a bunch of money on that. If you're raising babies to 6 months old, milk might not be your biggest thing if you're not trying to get 700, 800-pound calves. If you're just trying to get a good calf up, get into the sale barn, don't waste money getting big milkers. Like, if you're not selling cattle that are going to the rail, and when I say going to the rail, if you're not familiar with that, that means actually killing them and hanging them up on the rail, then why are you worried about the ribeye size or the tenderness or any of those things? That's not the end user product for you. It's easy to fall in love, and what the industry wants you to do, and when I say industry, what Angus breed and what Simmental breed and what all these Hereford breeds and what all these breeds want you to do with their EPDs is they want to push you to get all their cattle to meet some kind of ideal. Like their ideal cattle are super tender and super marbled and all those things, and that's really good for the breed, but it does nothing for you at the end of the day. It's easy to be idealistic, and you can say, oh, well, it does. Dude, you got 40 cows. You're not making a giant difference in the breed. Be honest with yourself. Like, your 40 cows aren't changing the Angus breed one way or the other, right? So what you have to do is you have to say, what am I trying to change? Who am I trying to add value to? My local customer doesn't need a 19-inch ribeye. He doesn't care. He's perfectly fine with a 14, 15-inch ribeye. Probably perfectly fine with like an 11 or 12-inch ribeye. So why am I trying to create something for somebody else to add value to somebody that doesn't even know I'm creating it, doesn't even know I have anything to do with it? Either I've got to learn to market it so people do know I had something to do with it, and that's a part of who I am, or I need to stop chasing being somebody else and build my own toolbox. I need to stop being an electrician when I'm a plumber. I need to stop toting an electrician's toolbox in to make decisions. I'm going to pick me some new employees for my operation. Boy, this guy's got 10 years of experience in his background in wiring. I think he'll make a great plumber. That's the dumbest thing ever. You might know a little bit about plumbing. There's some similarities there, but are you going to cut him loose on the job tomorrow? Well, you do with your bulls. You go find a bull that's really good at being an electrician and you turn him loose on your plumbing operation that's your cows. You're shocked when it doesn't make you any money. Build your own toolbox. Create your own dollar indexes. It doesn't have to be exact. Find something that gets you a cut of cows, because really at the end of the day, you need to pick the one that looks right and phenotypically fits with your program. But what you need to be able to do is you go to a bull sale, have your own version. I'm going to use their yearling weight. I'm going to use their weaning weight because it matters to me. And I'm going to use their docility. That's a big thing for me. I want cows that are calm, so that's going to be a part of it. And I'm going to take them numbers, I'm going to total them up, and I'm going to see which bulls make the cut based off my number. And then I'm going to look at those bulls. I'm going to pick the one that looks the best that I can afford. I may even look at it and say, which one kind of sucks in these other numbers? He's not very good at marbling and ribeye because that's going to make him cost more, so I don't really need those. So let's find the cheaper one that still does everything that I want. That's making decisions that put money in your pocket and still adds value to your customer because they're buying what you do. They're not buying what some big ranch does in the Midwest. They're buying what you make and what you do if you're marketing your cattle and not just selling them as a commodity. Build your own toolbox. Thanks for shooting the bull. I'm Ken Hendricks. Thanks for shooting the bull. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the latest updates.